What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is not much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiba grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show.
You ready, guys?
On Lifestyle Radio.
Ta-da. Yep.
Ta-da!
Ta-da. So we're here. Jeffrey is not yet. We can't find him. But hopefully he'll hear his message and call us back. Al just, I don't know if he wants me to play it on the air or not. No, I'm not going to play it on the air. I don't know what he wants.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, hold on. There. So anyways, welcome to the 420 Radio Show. Did you guys go in the chat room? I didn't go in the chat room. I'm afraid to do anything with my laptop because the minute I do, I crash. It's so freaking hot in here.
I'll go to the chat room.
I'm going.
It won't let me in. Every time I go there now, since I've been using Google Chrome, I can't get in there.
But you went in there.
Well, I should take that back. I can get in there, and I can watch and I can monitor, but I can't post anything. Like,
because he keeps coming in as a bot.
Who comes in as a bot?
Did you guys go in the chat?
No, it says it asks me right up front. It says, I am not a robot, and you click the little thing and it makes the chat.
Okay, so
right?
when you get to that point, when you get to that point, Ross, click the little button or the little line underneath. Skip this and join anonymously, and it will take you right into the chat room.
Okay, I will try that.
Anybody else who wants to come to lifestyleradio.ca or .net or 420radio.ca or.
Come say hi to me and laugh with me at Ross.
Yes, we like to laugh.
Everybody else does.
Oh, okay. What he sent me was Tina's commercial. We have a new sponsor, so I'm going to play it. Should we listen?
Oh, go for it.
Let's listen.
Go for it.
Oh, wait. Stop.
Okay, maybe we won't listen.
I have to reload.
Thanks.
Too late. I'm not listening.
Or .net or 420radio.ca.
Oh,
hold on. No, that's not it. Or. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. We'll go here, and then we're going to play the commercial for our new sponsor and see if it's any good.
Oh, you haven't listened?
No, Al just sent it to me. Okay, here we go.
You've tried everything to manage your pain and symptoms. Harsh narcotics could be doing as much harm as good. Do you even know what's in them? What are you putting into your body? It's time for something different. It's time for Mary Jane's Alternative Medicines. A certified consultant is ready to speak to you today and help guide you to the best treatment that's right for you. They specialize in organic and natural vegan-rated cannabis-based products with no binders, fillers, or added chemicals. Mary Jane's Alternative Medicines ships orders nationwide to help people suffering from arthritis, Parkinson's, fibromyalgia, colitis, IBS, Crohn's, multiple sclerosis, or cancer. Don't suffer any longer than you have to. Call today, 250-246-1556, and ask about our treatment options for animals, large or small. Mary Jane's Alternative Medicines. We manage your pain so you can manage your life.
Hey, that came out pretty good.
I am still calling them. I want to talk to one of their professional consultants.
There you go. So that'll be going into rotation soon. Should we try Jeffrey again?
Try.
Give him a go.
Yeah, try him. See what he says this time.
Let's see what he says this time. See what he's got to say.
Guy's got Mr. I'll be available all the time.
Mr. Call me anytime.
Yeah.
But the difference
he
is
knows
now,
we're on Skype now, right?
I'm going to hang up really quickly, though, if he doesn't answer, because his phone number's on there. So you got to go blah, 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 blah really loud with me, okay?
His phone number's on there? Okay.
On his answering thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's kind of silly.
Yep. I think so.
Well,
too.
on the other hand, you've already called the number, so
Yes.
Oh,
just
that's
don't
why
want-
the number's there. Okay, I know why. Yep. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
fine.
Greetings.
Up, blah,
You've
blah,
reached
blah, blah, blah,
818.
blah,
You've
blah,
reached
blah, blah, blah,
Say
blah.
goodbye. Say you should have answered the damn phone.
All right. Well, he'll get a hold of us. he'll play the time difference card. I guarantee it. So.
Oh, yeah. What time did you tell him?
I told him 7 p.m. Eastern
well, that's
time.
Eastern time.
That we even tried. Ross even told me what the 2 Mountain and Pacific was, and he said, "Fine, call me anytime." So anytime was 5 minutes ago, and then
Except
2
when
minutes
you want
ago.
me to answer.
That's right. That's right. So Ross, I got a question for you.
Sure.
If
I
you
got answers.
if you put bees in a pot field, do you get cannabis honey?
No, but if you take some buds and you spray sugar water on those buds, bees will land on the bud and look like they're collecting something off of the bud. And then you can make up a fake story about how they're harvesting, I'm doing air quotes here, resin and making honey that has got cannabinoids.
Or
in it.
you could just go out.
I love
You could just go
You're
out
way
and
better
buy a
You're
magic
so
butter machine
soft and gentle
throw
with
some
breaking that news to them
honey
about
in
them
it.
getting ripped off.
Oh,
I think
man,
it's
that's
I
just
know
awesome.
it is such a joke. Okay, like anybody who does any kind of, I mean, Google in 2 seconds you'll find out that bees make honey from nectar and pollen. Okay,
Cannabis doesn't have pollen.
Cannabis produces no nectar.
No nectar.
Male plants do produce pollen,
Yes.
but there are no cannabinoids in that pollen. So even if a bee collected the pollen from a male cannabis plant, it would not transfer any cannabinoids into the honey. There's only one way to get cannabinoids in honey. Marcel, how is that?
A
Magic
long
butter
drawn out
machine.
process involving heat and time.
Magic butter machine.
So you
Pardon me?
have to infuse
A magic butter machine.
Yeah, you've got to infuse it.
Yeah.
Right.
Go out and buy a magic butter machine from BMA Hydroponics,
You can do that.
and then you go out and get yourself a gallon of honey, whatever kind you like, and then throw in an ounce and let it cook.
Yep. Or
Yep.
just make some oil and heat the oil.
Now,
or
will
infuse the oil directly into the honey, mix it up real good,
can you
and
do
you've
that?
got
It
cannabis
combines,
infused.
unlike water.
Honey.
It combines
yeah.
with honey.
I wouldn't try and infuse the honey from the plant. I would do it from
Okay.
the oil.
Okay,
I would too. Yeah.
but it mixes well, unlike water, right? With water, it mixes
Right.
well with honey.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I make something called Majoun. I'm going to try to make some to bring to Harvest Fest with me. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Majoun.
No?
It's a Moroccan treat. It is just lovely. You make it with dates, nuts, a little bit of cinnamon. You infuse it, and it's like this gooey, chewy, just awesome treat. And you have to eat ever so little, small amounts, or you will just get so wasted.
Well, you just don't have to make it that strong either.
Well, I know. Well, that's true. I could infuse less, but it's like a reflex action. It's like, yeah, let's get that shit in there.
Is there anything that you can't infuse?
Water.
Yeah.
Water.
So how
There you
how
go,
is it
yeah.
that they have new products out there that's THC infused water, CBD infused water?
Don't know. Haven't seen it. Wanna.
Yeah, I'd like to see the test
I'd
results.
like to see how you do it. It's because here's a cool trick that I do to people because I just want to see how they make some of their products, especially when it comes to hard candies. I'll take their hard candy and I'll crush it to a powder and I'll put it in a glass of water and dissolve it. And if there's cannabinoids, such as oil, it'll all float to the top
Right.
and separate.
Okay.
Yes. Oil and water don't mix. I mean,
No.
everybody's heard that saying, right?
Just doesn't work.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But now what I haven't done is, and I'd like to try it because glycerin will mix with water. And I'm going to look at seeing if you can mix a glycerin tincture with water and have it not separate, but I suspect it's going to separate.
I suspect it will too, because the oil is still there, even though it's infused in the glycerin. It's
Still
the
oil.
molecule. Yeah, it's still oil, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be interested to, but I would guess that it would separate.
Mm-hmm.
I did find out some interesting things. I've been working on a seminar, it's probably going to end up being about an hour and a half or so seminar.
For whom?
About medicinal cannabis that
For
I'm going to be
whom? For whom?
presenting to various pharmacists
Okay.
and nurses and doctors and
Yeah.
people who want it and need it really, really bad. And I'm finding out some really interesting stuff while I'm doing my research for all of this. And one of the things that I've learned is some of the nomenclature, some of the terminology that's currently being used, and everybody uses it, and it's a cultural thing. And we talk about strains and phenotypes and all this stuff, right? And I found out that that's all wrong. Those are completely the wrong words for it. And that what they really are is strains are actually chemovars, and phenotypes are actually chemotypes. And when I say chemo, it's not like chemo for cancer. It's chemo meaning chemical. So a chemical variation and a chemical type of cannabis. So I also learned that there is only actually one true chemovar, and that is Cannabis sativa L. And that all of the other ones, and yes, it is pronounced indica, because
I don't believe you.
It's from India. And I actually heard Dr. Ethan Russo say it himself, and he's a very renowned neurologist who researches cannabis. And he says,
So is it cannabinoid?
No, it's cannabinoid.
You
It is
sure?
not cannabinoid. No. That's always good for a larf, though. And I do miss Chris. I really do.
Me too.
But no, so yeah, I mean, this is just some really interesting stuff. I went through and I listened to about a half-hour lecture from Dr. Ethan Russo, and that was where he said it. He talked about chemovars and chemotypes, and I thought, well, what the heck is that? What does he mean, chemotype and chemovar? So I Googled it, and sure enough, it is the proper nomenclature, the proper terminology for strains and for phenotypes, and they are chemovars because they differ in their chemical structure one from another. And Cannabis indica, Cannabis fruturalis, Cannabis afghanica, there have even been Cannabis americana. I mean, they've just been kind of naming all these additional chemovars, but really it's all Cannabis sativa L, and all the others are just variations of Cannabis sativa L.
Right.
So it's kind of neat because you get all these things in your head and you think you know everything you need to know about cannabis, and then you start to get into some nitty-gritty research, because if you're going to be giving a seminar to people who have been taught science of any kind, then you need to know what you're talking about. And I have really changed the way I think about cannabis. I mean, listening to Dr. Bob Melamede, who we've had on the show, I listened to about a half-hour lecture from him too, talking about free radicals, and he talked about it at length on the show, but I really wasn't familiar with what free radicals were, how they worked, and all that stuff. And I learned a lot from Dr. Bob on the show. But then going back and listening to it again in the half-hour presentation that he made, it started to make more sense about what happens with free radicals, how they work in your body, how they are the cause of many, many, many ailments, and how cannabis can repair these mutations that are free radicals.
We could have him back on the show if you like. I could ask him.
It would be awesome to have him back. I think I would get
because he would have way more questions for him this time.
Absolutely, and I would have more educated questions to ask him. And it's like I say. I mean, you think you've you've figured it all out. You think you've done all your research and you think you know just about everything you need to know about cannabis. And then all of a sudden one day somebody says a word during a lecture and you go into this whole different avenue that you've never been down before, and you find out that you've been basically, it comes down to like cannabis and marijuana. Okay, I always called it marijuana, I called it weed, I called it pot, grass, all that stuff. Now I call it cannabis because I know that's the proper term for it. But just like marijuana, phenotype and strain are words like marijuana. They're slang expressions that have been taken on by the culture to try to just put a name to these things, like what is a different strain. And another good thing I found out about chemotypes and chemovars is that even when you get the same genetic structure in a plant, and they've actually got, I believe it's 1/3 of the genome of cannabis identified now, even though they're all, if you get two chemotypes that are the same, in other words, they're both called, I don't know, let's call them Kush, just because everybody knows what Kush is. Even though they're both from the same mother and father, and even though you've got that same plant, and then you keep that as a mother, and then you practice monoculture, which is, it's not cloning, it's not even a cutting, it's monoculture. So there's some more nomenclature for you. So when you take a cut off of a plant and you root it, and then you grow that out, and you grow it under specific conditions of temperature, light, water, food, all these things, they actually produce a chemical signature. And then when you dry that product and you use it, it gives you an effect based on that chemical signature. You take that same mother, you practice the same type of monoculture, grow the same plant and a second crop under slightly different light, slightly different temperatures, slightly different food, and you alter the chemical structure of that same chemotype. And it's not just the cannabinoids, it's also the terpenes and the flavonoids, which I have found out an awful lot about too in my research in doing all of this, and how important terpenes are in the way that the cannabinoids affect you. And they also have a major impact on all the aspects of your plant, and they will vary. All of them will vary, even with the smallest change of light, temperature, humidity, and food.
And that
not
changes...
get the same chemotype the second time you grow that same chemovar.
And what does that change? What makes that different? What will it do that I would care about?
It would change the way that it affects you on a recreational level. In other words, how it makes you feel, whether it makes you sleepy, or it makes you high and up, or if it makes you hungry, or if it makes you, all those things, right? And those things can change in intensity from one crop to the next, even when you're using the same chemotype of the same chemovar. So also, I found out a lot about decarboxylation too, and I know there's a lot of proponents of decarboxylation out there, but there's some of the other cannabinoids that are changed and altered when you decarboxylate. Your THCVs, THCA, CBDA, CBDV, you alter those and you change them into delta 9s and delta 8s and other. You change the chemical structure of them. And what you do in the process is you lose those particular cannabinoids. And what they're finding out now is that THCV, THCA, CBDV, CBDA, they all, as they are, have a role to play in the entourage effect. And for anybody who doesn't know what the entourage effect is, it is the effect of all the cannabinoids, all the terpenes, all the flavonoids, all combining to give you a certain result, whether it's a recreational result or a medicinal result. So if you alter things, one way or another, you can change how it works for you. So the entourage effect is the best way to go, and the best way to truly achieve the entourage effect is to combine different chemotypes. In other words, take your Kush and take your
do that all the
haze
time.
and take your all these other different
You mix your strains.
chemotypes, put them and mix them all together.
Yep.
Do not decarboxylate them because the THCAs and Vs and all those things
They're fine the way they are.
are fine the way they are, and they have a role to play. And if you decarboxylate them and
changes
convert
their
them into
rules.
delta 9, you're taking away a component.
Yeah.
Also, when you decarboxylate, you can also alter the terpene profile or absolutely destroy the terpenes.
Usually
which they're finding
destroy.
are key.
As I've found, every time I've decarboxylated, I've found that I have destroyed the terpenes.
Right.
And that's
And-
and that's at 225.
That's why I like the way I do it, because mine is lower temperature, long period of time, so I have less risk of destroying all the terpenes. I do destroy some, but my purpose is to convert THC to THCA to THC. But the process, it's whether I want to do it or not, the process that I use is going to decarboxylate for me.
If you go over 100 degrees Fahrenheit,
I do. I go to 180.
Okay, well, once you go over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you start to evaporate terpenes. You start to change THCA and THCV into other forms of delta 9, delta 8 THC.
Yeah.
So if you can keep it at 100 degrees, that is your best temperature to keep everything, the basic chemical structure of the plant as it's intended to be. And then by combining a whole bunch of chemotypes all together, you get that broad spectrum range of all the terpenes, all the cannabinoids, and you turn it into real medicine. I guess it's really more
Stop,
important
Ross.
for the
You're
medicinal
tripping me
value.
out, man. You're tripping me out.
See, that's what I've
Stop.
been preaching for years is to use multiple strains when you're making your medicine to get the widest range of profile.
I've been mixing. When I get something that's a little too strong for me, I will mix it with something else, and it kind of balances it out, right? And I get that little difference that I'm not sitting there going,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know?
You know what it really works great for too, combining all the different chemotypes, and this is my new word. Just like I say cannabis now, not marijuana. I no longer say phenotypes and strains. They're chemovars and chemotypes, and I completely forget where I was going with it. But I try. Topicals. I was going to mention topicals.
Well, hold on.
With
Wait for that, and we're going to continue that when we come back.
Okay.
Because this past week, Toby Keith came out with a new song called Wacky Tobacco, and I want to listen to it.
Okay, cool.
All right? And
I
then
like
we'll
that.
be back. All right?
Give her.
All right. We'll be back. This is the 420 Radio Show. Come on in the chat room. Say hi.
Hi, it's Deb from BMA Hydroponics. Whatever you are growing, from vegetables to medicinal cannabis, we have everything you need to succeed. From seed to harvest to processing and extracting, we carry all the brand name products that will help you produce, process, and consume high-quality medicine. Our knowledgeable staff of qualified growers have decades of experience with home production, and all possess either MMAR injunction status or an ACMPR registration certificate. We offer the largest variety of products available anywhere, and if you don't see what you're looking for, just let us know and we'll find it for you. Visit our store at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, Ontario, or visit our website at bmahydroponics.com. We can be reached at 613-967-9888, Monday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/BMAHydro and drop us a line at BMA. Our motto is your success is our success.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, hey, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
down the hall. Shows up on time, she like balls to the wall. She went out to lunch with her high school friends. About 3 hours later, she come rolling back in. Well, the boss man really jumped her. Sonny wasn't joking. Everybody in the office knew one that had been smoking that old wacky tobacco. When you feel it creeping up on you, that old wacky tobacco. Kick back and let it do what it do. Now you can two-toke her, you can one-hit him. Puff it in a pipe and you can twist it in a stem. You can bake it in some brownies, smoke it through a bone. Roll up a great big fat one like old Cheech and Chong. Burn it through a hole in a can of Budweiser. If you can't take the heat, son, vaporizer that old wacky tobacco. When you feel it creeping up on you, that old wacky tobacco. Kick back and let it do what it do. Now do what you do. Oh yeah. You got two Mexican and Jamaican with those buds of blue. Humboldt County and hydroponic too. Okeechobee purple from down in the south. And that old stuff your uncle smokes will give you cotton mouth. Homegrown is healthy, synthetic can kill you. My all-time favorite, red-haired Sinsemilla, that old wacky tobacco. When you feel it creeping up on you, that old wacky tobacco. Kick back and let it do what it do. I'll let it do what it do. Yeah, it do. Y'all got any Fritos?
That's what it says. Yeah, that's what it says when I do it. Yeah, that's what it says when I do it.
Oh well, we're trying to fix the chat. There we go. We're trying to fix the chat room because now it's bothering me. Now Ross has been having issues, but you're okay, Marcel.
Oh, I'm fine.
All right.
I'm in there as the moderator. Anybody wants to come on chat room, come on in. Have a
Okay,
chat.
well, type something and say hello.
Well, hold on. I'm coming in again. I'm going in as a guest. Al.
Bite me. I said say hello.
Same thing.
Well, how come you get to go in there?
I was first. I don't know.
You have to.
No, actually, I wasn't first.
There's
you
a
were.
cap check thingy that you have to do. Is what it says.
A what?
A cap check thingy.
Oh, a CAPTCHA.
Yeah,
I didn't have one.
And I don't see it at all. I don't see it anyways. Oh well, time for a new chat room.
Al broke the chat room.
I'll look at it.
Ross broke the chat room.
I think I broke the chat room. I broke it a couple of weeks ago, actually. I was just afraid to tell you about it. It's like the kid, who broke his toy and didn't want to tell his mom. So, I'm sorry about that.
Ross.
You just blame it on your brother.
Yeah, but my brother would beat the crap out of me.
Now, okay, if you go in,
I was brother.
You can still see what's going
I
on
see.
in the chat room. You can still see what's going on in the chat room, though. You're just in preview mode. That's all. So if I can see Marcel said, "Bite me," right?
Yeah, I can see that, but I can't tell him to bite himself because it won't let me.
And I wouldn't do it.
Oh, you do it all the time. You know you do.
No.
You're biting something. I know you are because I hear it during the show.
It's my tongue.
You're chewing your tongue.
I just take.
I
big
do that all
chunks
the
out
time
of,
too.
I take big chunks out of it so I don't say what I really want to say.
Exactly. Yes.
So, what do you want to talk about? Bees? Well, we already talked about the bees.
We talked about the bees. We talked about chemovars. So remember, people, it's not strains. It's not phenotypes. And there's only one type of cannabis. Even hemp is cannabis sativa L.
Yes.
Everything is cannabis sativa L. They're all just different chemovars.
The actual name is cannabis sativa, is it not?
Do you know what?
Yes.
I'm so glad you've done all of that research, Ross.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Because now you and I can talk.
Yes, we can.
We can be on the same level.
Thank you.
People never believe me when I keep telling them that it's all the same plant.
It's absolutely true. And you know, I mean, you're only as good as the stuff you read. And when you read stuff haphazardly that you just kind of trip over, or you have conversations with people, which I have had exhaustive hours and hours and hours of conversations with cannabis growers and cannabis consumers because of the business that I'm in. And you learn stuff from other people. You think you do, and you do. But what you find out later is that what you've learned is not necessarily accurate, or in some cases, wildly inaccurate. And you latch onto them because this is how you learn. Is you learn by talking and discussing, and when you actually get into the research, which I've been doing a lot more of lately, especially in the last couple of weeks because I'm working on this seminar, you get into the actual scientific studies. You start to get to the actual truth.
And the truth is?
The truth is that you probably forget everything.
And we'll talk about
cannabis.
the truths when we come back from this commercial. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, hold on. All right. Now I have to see if I can.
Hey.
I got to add you. Call me back again, Jeff, because I got to add you into the conversation.
You got to. I'll call you right back.
Okay.
And Owen Smith for posting it, because when he posted it, I clicked on it and listened to the 30-minute lecture and learned that took me on a journey where I learned more about cannabis in that one 30-minute lecture than I've learned in the last 3 years.
I heard a hey.
I heard a hey too. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, what's happening, guys?
Oh, Mr. Jeff, the one that's always available, doesn't answer the phone.
It's Roger Jefferson.
Well, I've said my timing is not completely on all the time, but that's okay. That's
okay. You're here now. That's all that matters.
Oh, we get to talk about Las Vegas now.
Yeah. So are you excited or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the second time in history I've gotten to witness something like this, but Vegas is on a different par. I mean, I was there in Colorado in 2014, and it had kind of a stutter start, but nothing can compare to America's playground. I mean, it's going to really explode. Just tonight and tomorrow, there's so many events going on and so many parties. It's like Rip Van Winkle just woke up. It's so awesome.
So sales start tomorrow?
Sales start at midnight tonight. And
wow. So are the lineups already starting now, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Shortly after that, the buffet lines will start. So.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, I've been reading up on the details of what legalization in Nevada looks like, and I got to say I'm very impressed. I think it's probably the best legalization legislation that I've seen anywhere. Ever.
I always kind of thought when I was in California, watching, I just have been in the entertainment part of the activism, but like watching people like Jack Hare and other, people I know like Eddie Lepp and other people fighting for this, to see, that this is happening in Las Vegas, because, Las Vegas used to have such a terrible stigma of you could do everything else but pot here. And now the doors are opening wide, and it just makes so much sense. It's on every level.
It really does. I see they made the age 21.
Yes, the age is 21, and that's how it was in Denver too. And that definitely keeps it on an adult level. And we'll see how the tourists handle it. We've never, we've never had something like this because in Denver, a lot of people come through there, but not like Las Vegas. There's a million people here at any given moment from all over the world. So,
have they decided if they're going to allow it in the casinos or not? Because they allow smoking in the casinos, right?
Right. I think it's a casino by casino decision, and it's really up to them. Some casinos have signs that say no marijuana smoking. Some casinos have signs that say no marijuana. Some casinos don't have any signs. So I have a feeling eventually you're going to see Snoop Dogg Smoking Emporium or Willie Nelson's Hideaway, or I think when corporate America and the celebrities get involved, it's going to change everything.
So you think there's going to be consumption sites where you're actually going to be allowed to smoke it inside?
Way, totally. I mean, you can already. We don't have the Clean Air Act here because you can smoke in a bar here. So it just the establishment just has to say yay in a designated spot. You can smoke cannabis over there.
We already
walked through all the casinos with our vape pens and oil. So
yeah. Well, nobody knows anyway because it's probably that flavored.
Right, and
stuff,
they can't tell the difference between the tobacco puffers and us.
Right.
So it's pretty neat.
But there is a $600 fine for public consumption of cannabis, though.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, nobody's really they're not going out of their way. It's remarkable. You'll walk down the Vegas Strip and see people smoking a bowl just right out in public, and the cops will be standing right by them. They don't care.
And that's before they legalized it.
No, that was like about a couple weeks ago.
Right.
That's
right. So before they legalized it, and they weren't doing anything, and tomorrow they're really not going to do anything, right?
They're really not. It's just the Vegas PD has so much other stuff to worry about, like real drunks, real drunk drivers, like dangerous people, jilted gamblers. You know what I mean? The least of their worries are going to be dopey potheads that are wondering where they should get food.
Well, nobody in Nevada carries a gun, right?
Right. But that it's one of those things that if there's going to be that kind of trouble, there's going to be that kind of trouble. But it definitely lowers the chances of the black market having the kind of stronghold that they want. So it's pretty neat.
It is really cool.
Well, as long as they can keep the prices down at the dispensary, then the black market can't compete.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be a tiny bit pricey at first, and then it'll taper off. I mean, I can say firsthand, Colorado was absurd. I mean, they wanted like $70 an eighth and stuff when the days that it first opened. So I wasn't going to buy that on principle. That's too expensive. So I waited.
I'd wait.
But tonight I'm going to. I've been invited by my buddy James Malcolm from High Times. We're going to check out some events around the city, and see what this city's got to offer. But there are like events all over the place. I mean, just regular bars are like 420 night, celebration of Prohibition, ending.
Well,
so,
we're going to be doing
city's
that.
really behind it.
We'll be doing that next year, right? Although medical people are already doing that, but we'll be celebrating next year here up in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, we might be celebrating.
I'm hoping.
And I'm proud to have been part of, when Marco Renda did that Treating Yourself Expo in 2010.
Yep.
I mean, that was a real stepping stone, and I was so proud to be part of that. And to see that. Canada is inching toward that. I heard that they're running out of weed though, so we need to get some growers out there. Ricky and Julian need to start growing or something.
They're already involved.
We're not really running out. the licensed producers are running out.
Yeah. Everybody else is fine.
We've got lots.
Yeah, we've got lots. Yeah, we have
that's
lots.
good to know. That's good to know, eh?
There's all kinds here. It's just you can't have it because
You just can't
from a licensed producer.
So
I was
listen,
going to say
guys.
you can't buy it online, but that would be incorrect too.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
So listen, guys. I just want to. Two things have happened since you guys were chatting there. Number one, Dr. Malamede said he's in, and I'm going to set up a date within the next couple of weeks. So we'll be talking to Dr. Bob, as we call him.
Cool.
Yep. And
Awesome.
also, I was being silly, and I posted, someone needs to write a song and call it It's 422, and I fucking missed it again or something like that, right? And now, so Bobby Fricks is going to do one. I'm sure that Jim Melvin from the Royal Kush Band is going to do one because he's chatting away now. And then Eamon
So
as
we're going to
well.
have to change the name of the show to the 422 Radio Show.
No, well, I mean, I keep missing it, right? But Jim Melvin is the one who did our theme song. I tried to get people to do submissions, and nobody did but Jim. And it's like I was, what took you? Because we were just chatting there. But if you want to do a song like that, do it, and I'll air it if you send it in. It's got to say something like, what did I say?
It's 422.
422 and I missed it, or I fucking. Jim says it sounds like a country song, which I agree.
It does.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah. I can hear the twang, but I can't do something like that. So let's switch channels here to a sec. What's going on with you and your comedy?
Oh man, a lot of great stuff. You know, what's great is I think this is going to open up some opportunities for me here. I really enjoyed doing comedy in Denver. When I first got there, I got to work with Cheech and Chong and some other cool people. But now there's so many cannabis comedy shows like springing up, and I have my own show out here, the dopest show on earth, which I've been doing for 11 years. I'll be back on July 19th with that. There's a big business to business convention that goes on out here called the Champs, and they
tried to
do
one
all the glass and you know, the high tech stuff in the cannabis world.
Yep.
And so we're having the unofficial after party for them.
Oh, cool. They tried to do one up here to replace the Treating Yourself. And now we have Lyft, and we have corporate shows.
Yay, corporations, go.
Although, you know what? Next week, I'm going down to Toronto to the 710 Cup. Or is it the 710 Cup? Yeah, 710 Cup.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
I'm looking forward to that because I've never been to something like that. I mean, I was at the Karma Cup, but I didn't go to the cup part. So they're having a market in Toronto. They've got all these pop-up markets now, and they're really cool. And the Karma Cup is in September, and we've got the 710 Cup next weekend. Is there anything else? I don't think so. But it's been almost every weekend in Toronto that there's been an event. We had an event that was so corporate, you couldn't smoke on the property. They sent patients out onto what is a highway to have their medicine. That's the only place they would allow them to have their medicine, Jeff. Unlike, we stood out front of the Metro Convention Center. Did we not?
Yeah. Yes, we did. Yeah, and it didn't. It only bothered people as much as, like, say, a cigar would bother somebody.
I was out there one year for Lyft. I think it was the first Lyft, and there were some people out there that were coming out of a baseball game, and there's like these mega crowds coming along, and we're sitting there puffing on doobies, and there were some nasty words thrown out by a few people with children and that didn't agree and stuff like that. But for the most part, I mean, Ross, you went to one, right?
I did, yeah.
Those are like growing pains, man. People will get over that. People are going to have to get used to the smell of skunky, danky stuff around, all over Las Vegas, because that's what it's starting to smell like.
Those people that made those comments were just probably really, really, really drunk.
Does Does your new regulations permit self-production?
It does, yeah. 6 plants for personal use, and in a secure space, and up to 12 plants per residence.
Yeah.
That's
nice. I don't know
It
all
is.
the legalities on that. I'm probably going to find out quite a bit tonight. The neat thing is I love being on the entertainment side of this, and I love celebrating, the victories and stuff, because it's like these people. There's people that work a lot harder at this than I do. So I like to be the like the USO for THC kind of thing. Be there for the troops that have done stuff that worked so hard and stuff. So this will be fun, man, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be going to LA for 710, doing an event there, and I'll be at the Comedy Store and Sal's Comedy Hole, some other great places. The neat thing is California is now recreational, so
I know
it's just we got a really neat thing going on the West Coast.
You can just grab a bunch of stuff in Nevada, just drive right to California, go straight up the West Coast, all the way to Washington State, and then back again, and never have to worry about crossing the state line.
It's really neat.
Don't they have regulations that prevent you from crossing the state line with cannabis? Because I know Nevada was talking about that with California. They were getting upset that people from Nevada were driving over to California.
To an illegal state. If you go from legal,
but this was when Nevada was still illegal.
Yeah,
they had a problem with people from Nevada going to California, buying it and bringing it back.
Oh yeah, well, Oklahoma absolutely freaks about Colorado. They share like a 100-mile border with Colorado.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is the most backward state of all when it comes to cannabis, and they have state troopers sitting on their side of the border. And as soon as people come back with Oklahoma license plates out of Colorado, boom, they pull them over, search them.
Yeah, they wanted to sue Colorado for all the cost.
Yep. Crazy.
So ridiculous. Utah is pretty tough too. Utah doesn't really like cannabis either. But I always said, even when I was in California, that the real linchpin to the, legalization of cannabis in America is going to be Las Vegas. And if we can make Las Vegas cool, then everywhere else will just kind of follow suit, because this is where America comes to play, and this is where we invite the world to come to play. So it's the new Amsterdam.
Well, it really is. And I really like this, like 15% tax on cannabis, and that's on wholesale cannabis.
Yeah.
Whereas, Washington State's got like a 37% tax.
It's going to be neat to see just how quickly they make money at this. I mean, we remember the record sales in Colorado. It was like $1 million, $2 million over a weekend.
Yeah.
This is going to be like that, like $3 million over a weekend. It's going to be insane.
They're going to start. They're going to start doing it like you're going to hear on CNN or in other news networks. They're going to do like their entertainment thing that they do with movies. By the number that it's made each weekend. Well, this weekend, Kush was the number one at.
Well, that's awesome. Well, guys, like I said, if you're out, to some of your West Coast people, if you're out in California, come see me at the Comedy Store on July 7th, and then July 8th, I'm at Sal's Comedy Hole. So,
Sal's Comedy Hole, where's that?
That's on Melrose in the heart of Hollywood.
Cool.
It's a really neat spot, and I'll be headlining that show. I like being over here in Vegas because I got a real close proximity to the LA comedy scene, and I get to go over there. My buddy Fraser Smith, who is a radio legend in LA, he brings me on his show on KLOS, so I'll be on there on the 9th, and that's always a thrill.
Cool. That's awesome, bud.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see a comedy hole. What does a comedy hole look like?
Well, this is You know what? It really doesn't look like a comedy hole. It's you walk in the back. It's a nice theater-looking place, but it's a great name for a comedy club. You know, it makes you think. You know, oh my God, what kind of things go on in there? And exactly what it does is a bunch of great LA comics. So
cool. So no sphincters involved at all.
Right.
Well, there might be a few in the audience. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm just looking forward to all the fun. I'll let you guys know, the aftermath of tonight and tomorrow. Like, give you an update because this is surely going to be historic tonight, and we'll just see where the night takes us. Because I've been invited to a couple of dispensaries that are having events. There's a couple of bars, so we'll see what's going on in Las Vegas.
You should record some stuff, do some interviews, and then we'll play them.
Yeah, let me do that.
Cool.
Yeah,
if I can,
that would be a good way to do it.
If he's conscious enough.
I just have to remind my buddy from High Times to remind me.
Well, after tomorrow, you're liable to forget anyway, right?
What do you get when you put two potheads in a room?
Yeah, that's right. Well, you guys are awesome, and it's great talking to you. You guys. I can't wait for Canada to be legal, eh? It'll be awesome.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah. He's already sounded Canadian, isn't he? Eh?
Oh yeah, I'm an official Canadian, and because I'm the authorized biographer for a one-hit wonder band from Toronto called Motherload. So you kids, if you listen to Chum, look up Motherload.
Cool.
Chum is not what it used to be.
Well, awesome. Good talking with you guys. And, we got to, be happy about Las Vegas being free. So come and join us anytime here.
I've never been.
We will do that.
I've never been to Las Vegas. You might just see me on your doorstep one day.
I would love to. That would be so awesome. And you would have such a blast. This is truly an adult playground. And literally the the options are endless here now.
I'm afraid. Anyways, we're going to take another break. And thanks for joining us, Jeff. You're welcome anytime.
You have a blast tonight because I think you're both too.
I think you're.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Ciao, buddy.
See ya.
And we'll be right back. I forgot what I was doing there for a minute.
Right pause back. That refreshes.
There you go. Time for a drink and a pee. We'll be right back.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet. www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
Tune into Lifestyle Radio on 420radio.ca this Saturday, July the 1st, as the 420 Roadshow brings you the grand opening of the new Legacy 420 store in Tenayganayga, Mohawk Territory, Ontario. Legacy 420 isn't your ordinary bong shop. Sure, they have bongs and pipes, but they also supply patients with their medical daily cannabis requirements. They have tested cannabis, concentrates, and the very popular medibles. We'll be talking to Tim Barnhart, the owner of this new 7,500 square foot building, about his vision and why got all this started. We'll be asking about the legalities and why the police don't bother him. We'll be also talking to members of the National Indigenous Medical Cannabis Association, who are an organization of Indigenous people involved in the medical cannabis industry on and off reserve. So join the Owls and the 420 Roadshow crew this Saturday afternoon as we go live from the Legacy 420 grand opening, located in the Tenayganayga, Mohawk Territory, Ontario.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio. You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Back in the year 1905, we had to have a rhythm very much alive. We didn't have a thing, still we'd sing. We had to walk for the cake until the bell would ring. Hypnotizing boogie, it's that hypnotizing boogie. It's that hypnotizing boogie, sure feels good. I can't dance, but I wish I could. Now Queen Victoria gave a costume ball. Bow to your lady, turn your back to the wall. One guy jumped up in a ratty zoot suit. He ripped off his mask and put on a seersucker flute. Hypnotizing boogie. It's that hypnotizing boogie. It's that hypnotizing boogie. Sure feels good. I can't dance, but I wish I could.
I mean, I'll tell you, I have hallucinated off of.
All right. Well,
cannabis.
we're getting right into this conversation, I guess, right away. Ross, go ahead and tell people what's going on now. They found something while we were on break.
Yeah. Apparently, Health Canada has, in advance of legalization, have come out with some guidelines on cannabis use. Of course, they call it marijuana because they're racist. But anyway, number one, avoid using marijuana at a young age, because if you use it before you're 16, it increases the likelihood of developing health, educational, and social problems.
I'm going to need a laugh
just
track.
like me, because when I started at 14, obviously I severely damaged myself.
I'm going to need a laugh track.
My entire 27-year, six-figure career was all just a joke. It was just a farce. And Yeah. So don't start before you're 16. Because you could severely damage your health, education, and develop social problems.
If you use it before you're 16, it increases the likelihood of developing health, educational, and social problems.
I'm going to need
what
a
the hell?
laugh track.
Like me, because when I started
I don't know
14,
what's going on,
obviously,
man.
I severely
It's
damaged
tripping me
myself.
out, though. Okay, it's stop.
What are you doing? Stop that.
Sorry.
For a second there, for a second I thought it was breaking number 2, which is to choose lower risk cannabis products. The ones that don't have high levels of tetrahydrocannabinol.
I'm going to save this on our page for people and our Twitter and stuff for anybody who's listening that wants to see this. Go ahead. Keep going.
I know a guy who makes those lower level products for those types of people, so I can fix them up.
Okay. So definitely don't smoke the high THC stuff because you might get high, and that's counter to the whole process of legalizing cannabis. It's not just to get high, it's not like it's it is recreational. Wait a minute. Okay, forget what I just said. Okay, don't use synthetic cannabinoids.
Okay, I agree with that one.
Yeah, I can go along with that one. That K2 and that spice stuff, first of all, they're not fucking synthetic cannabinoids, okay? They've got nothing to do with cannabinoids at all.
Cannabinol and Marinol are synthetic cannabinoids.
I was going to say...
Those are synthetic cannabinoids.
Yes,
K2 and spice are just some sort of bullshit chemicals that were made up in somebody's lab and have nothing to do with cannabinoids
Thank you
whatsoever.
for adding that, please. Thank you for adding that. Because I know that I know a lot of people who, during their journey of pain, have been put on Sesamet. I have it as a backup when I have nothing. Okay.
Yep, Sesamet and Nabilone and Sativex and all those things. Those are synthetic cannabinoids, and they are just a specific cannabinoid, usually just THC.
From what I understand, Sesamet, which is Nabilone, is a synthetic THC. Yes, and if I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I took it for a while. I would take $20 a capsule when I was getting it.
Well,
that's how much it cost. And I would take
but
6 of them and it would do nothing.
I went in, when I first started taking it, I went into the dentist and she asked me if I wanted anything for pain because we were doing a cleaning. And I said, no, thank you. And I just sat there. Didn't feel a fucking thing. It worked for about the first 2 years. And now it's just I have to take extra or kind of just sit there and do nothing. And I mean, it's not something that if you take, you're going to be able to go out and do shit.
Yeah, have you found that your long-term use of it though has made you more tolerant to the effects of smoking or ingesting cannabis, or like the regular cannabinoids that you get from consuming cannabis? Does it make you more tolerant? Like it takes more to get you high?
Maybe. But, I mean, I am usually...
He didn't know he was high.
No, I get a quarter here, a quarter there. I don't have a standard flow. I don't have a flow of continuous medicine. So, I mean, I will... Like, I got a quarter. That may last... I may get another one this month. I may not be able to. I don't know. And so then that's when the Sesamet will come in, or I'll make some tincture. And I actually, thanks for bringing that up, Ross. I've got one of those vapor pens that you get at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fill that up with tincture, it works real nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you know what? At least you're adhering to number 4. Number 4 is avoid smoking cannabis.
Really? Well, my doctor told me when I went to get my MMAR that he didn't want me to smoke. He said vape.
It's true. Smoking is not good for you no matter what. I mean, sure. Nobody wants to inhale combusted material, but really when you compare it to something like tobacco, obviously there's just no comparison. In fact, there's been studies done with people who use cannabis and tobacco both, and they found that the people who use cannabis and tobacco had fewer adverse effects from the tobacco than people who just smoke tobacco and no cannabis.
Well, I don't like the next one because I like Super Tokes.
I know. The next one is avoid deep inhalation and breath holding, which is the way everybody has inhaled or smoked cannabis forever, right?
But it's not necessarily the right way.
No.
The science behind it is correct in what they're saying. You don't have to take a deep breath and hold it in.
In and out. Really, that's what I've been told.
Breathe it in and breathe it out in the same breath.
In a normal breath.
You're going to absorb the same amount of cannabinoids regardless.
Yes.
But what happens is if you hold your breath, it hits you more.
Because you're asphyxiating
It's
yourself.
not. You deprived your brain of oxygen, so you got high from that.
Yeah, it's asphyxiation, right? Yep, you're just asphyxiating yourself, and I used to do it to the point where I almost pass out.
Yeah.
You know what else I think it had to do with, though, was how much cannabis you had back in the old days, okay? You might have a couple of joints, and you're going to share that with 10 people or something, so everybody gets 2 tokes. So all you're getting is 2 tokes, and you're going to hold it in as long as you can to get as much as you can out of it. I found that had more of an influence on how long I held a toke for than anything else. Was just that you weren't getting a lot of it, so you were going to hold it longer. Whereas now, I've got all the cannabis I could possibly want. I just do what Marcel said. I just inhale it and exhale it. I don't hold it at all.
I think back in the day, it's because everybody wanted to talk like Cheech and Chong, man. Hey, man.
No, it's just back in the day, we didn't know better.
True enough. That too.
Right? We were basically doing what everybody else was telling us. And it doesn't mean that everybody else that was telling us the right way, because they didn't know either.
Here's another good one. Okay, here's number 5 or 6. Limit cannabis use. Using cannabis frequently, for example, every day or almost every day, is linked with higher risks of health and social problems, which of course are unnamed, and there's no link to tell you what those health and social problems are, because there aren't any.
Well, you know what? It cures my social problems.
You might smell bad.
Okay. No, seriously, it cures my social problems.
So to lower your risk, marijuana users are advised to aim for occasional use, such as weekends or one day
a week.
Or a week at most.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? If I had to stick to that, I would never go anywhere. It cures my social anxieties.
Yes.
Oh, well, sorry. The next one's really going to turn your crank then.
God, I can't run a radio station.
Operate other machinery while under the influence of cannabis, because driving or operating machinery under the influence increases your risk of being involved in an accident. Users are advised to wait at least 6 hours after using the drug before driving or operating other machinery.
Yes. And again, no, and no links to prove that. No studies to back that up.
Can I ask something?
And we have studies that can actually tell you the opposite of that.
Exactly the opposite, yeah. So like they're going, hey, well, my trick knee's telling me that if you smoke cannabis, you might get in more accidents. Sounds, I don't know it for a fact, but I know it's got to be true.
These are recommendations, not regulations, correct?
No, these are just recommendations.
Recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Recommendations
don't
on the safe use of cannabis.
Yeah, don't scare anybody. Okay?
They recommend that you don't drink alcohol till you puke, right? But everybody who drinks a lot does that, right?
Yeah.
Not for many years.
No,
not for many years. No, I can't do that no more. I like a beer now and then, or a Ryan Coke, a nice cold Ryan Coke with lime. Or a lemon.
At least, you know what? At least we got it down to 6 hours after you've smoked, or consumed. It used to be that, if you just tested positive, even if it had been weeks since you had used cannabis, you shouldn't be driving, right?
Okay.
Now, we got it down to 6 hours now.
Let's go down to the next one.
We're making headway.
Let's go down to the next one, which is ridiculous because it's been proven to help with pregnancy.
Oh, you mean the one, avoid marijuana use if you're pregnant?
Yeah.
Or at increased risk for problems that could result from the use of the drug. I don't know what that means.
It's This is from Health Canada?
Yeah, these are Health Canada recommendations.
This is their words. Wow. Who's writing their shit?
Somebody who's never used cannabis, obviously. It says here, people who have a history of psychosis, substance use disorder, or have family members who do, they should avoid using marijuana because they're at higher risk of mental health problems. Because everybody I know that uses cannabis is crazy as a loon.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you something. I have ADHD, severe ADHD, to the point where I'm on fucking disability, for God's sakes. They're paying my fucking paycheck every month. And they're telling me that I shouldn't use cannabis, but yet I'm waiting for my license. It doesn't make sense. There's so many inconsistencies in everything that comes out of their mouths.
There is.
It's supposed to make sense.
But it goes beyond that. It's inaccurate information. It's anti-factual. It's fake fucking news. Pregnant women should not use the drug because it could harm their fetus or infant. There are studies
I know a
that
doctor
say the
that spent
exact
20
opposite.
years doing a study that would be pretty upset with that statement.
Yes, I mean it is the exact opposite. In fact, there are endocannabinoids in mother's milk. When a woman breastfeeds a baby, they're getting cannabinoids. They're androgenous.
You would think that they would know this,
but they're still cannabinoids, which is why I'm going. Right,
So
that's why I'm going to. Next time I see somebody breastfeeding, I'm calling the cops.
So they're what are they
Getting that
hoping?
kid high.
What are they hoping, that we don't know that? Because they
I
don't
know
tell
what
anybody.
Their thing is, but they need to start doing some research before they just come out with these things, because they couldn't be more wrong. How can
they
you just
could.
Well, I guess they could be more wrong. Yeah, they've got the driving thing up to 6 hours, so they're getting closer, right?
But they've got the ability to be way more wrong. So
sure they do. I mean, they could be a hell of a lot more ignorant than their current level of ignorance. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But ignorance is ignorance, right? And a little bit of ignorance can go a long way, especially in this case.
Especially when it's your government.
Yes. And your government, who is supposed to be telling you the truth and guiding you properly, and more than that, basing it on facts.
Can you wait? Can you actually imagine a government telling the truth? I mean, that would defeat the whole purpose of government.
But why? I don't get it. I what are they afraid of?
I think they're afraid that people would become self-aware.
That's probably closer to the truth than anything.
I honestly think it is. It would be an issue of the fear of them becoming self-aware, realizing that oh my God, these politicians are just like everybody else.
But then they go ahead and they give you the ammunition that you need when you become self-aware, that you read the bullshit they're writing and you go, hey, wait a minute, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Whereas other people who don't use cannabis, they read it and they probably go, oh, people use it when they're pregnant and harm their babies.
How about those ones that are injecting the marijuanas?
Yeah, I know. Because those syringes, they see those syringes,
I had a friend that injected the marijuanas once and they died. So it must be true.
I heard that.
And everybody that has never used cannabis knows somebody that's died from it.
Of course. And I've actually challenged people like doctors. Well, for example, my specialist, who is extremely open-minded when it comes to cannabis, we were talking, as we always do, every time I go see him, we always end up talking about cannabis. And the subject of harm and things like that came up. And I said to him, I asked him, I said, so how many people do you think have died from cannabis? Well, I don't know, but I'm sure it's probably quite a few, he says. And I said, oh, you do? So how many do you think have died in the last year? Oh, I don't know. There's probably got to be, a few. And I said, well, no. I said, nobody's ever died from cannabis. And it's like, oh, come on. Somebody must have sometime. It's like, no, nobody has ever died from cannabis.
I know somebody who stayed alive from cannabis.
Yeah, but it was really hard for me to convince him. I finally said to him, look, when I leave here, you get a chance, you go on Google and Google how many people have died from cannabis. See what kind of answers you get. So he doesn't. He's now convinced that nobody's ever died from cannabis. So, like even doctors, even educated people, buy into these falsehoods.
Well, but that's also we've mentioned this many times. That's because they're practitioners. They only do what they've practiced to do, and most of the older doctors don't go any farther than the learning they do when they leave the university.
And another thing too is that they know that all the drugs that they prescribe are deadly, and they will kill you.
Did you know?
So cannabis has got to be like that too, right?
Did you know that there's an actual program that nurses and doctors can take, but they're not taking it?
There is?
Say that again?
There is an actual program in hospitals that you can have come in, and that nurses and doctors are taught about the endocannabinoid system.
Oh yeah, the CCIC's been,
but they're not doing
pushing for that for years.
Yeah, but the doctors and nurses don't do it
because it's next to impossible to get a group of doctors and nurses together.
Okay, well,
and it's always due to scheduling.
And I've talked to a head nurse about that.
Because trust me, I've tried to get doctors and nurses together for seminars, and it's next to impossible. You got to almost pay them to attend.
She told me flat out that there are courses that they put out there for doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners to learn about the cannabinoid system and everything that goes along with cannabis. And they don't take it. She would love to, but they won't fund it.
Right.
The hospital that she works at won't pay for it. So she'd have to do it. And it's like going to one of those frickin' corporate fucking events where you got to pay $1,500 to go and listen to people speak that you can Google on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's why me, lowly little me, is creating a seminar to teach pharmacists, nurses, and doctors about cannabis.
Well, let's put it on camera, and then we can put it out there.
I can do that.
Okay. Because nurses in that, I would walk into hospitals with something like that.
Being someone that works with them all the time, I find it's much easier teaching them one-on-one.
Yes, probably.
Yes.
You're probably right.
But economically, that's not a viable option to try and get everybody taught.
Yes. My seminars are going to be like 4 to 6 people.
The first learning...
So it's not going to be like a large group.
The first learning that a doctor usually gets is a patient going, I'd like to talk to you about using cannabis. Oh, that's their first introduction to it.
Yeah, and then they kick you out of their office and say, if you ever mention that word again.
Yes. Some are more open-minded. Some get upset and angry and throw their hands up and pull up the Physicians and Surgeons Board website right on their computer in their office and says, look, they say no. So
yeah, actually, they don't pull up the website because they know it doesn't say no.
Because the website says yes.
It does say yes.
Yes, it does.
It says to exercise caution, but it does not say no.
Well,
but they want you to believe that it says no, so they'll tell you it says no.
That's right.
But they won't bring up the website because it'll prove them to be liars.
And
Ontario says to proceed with caution.
Yes.
Right.
See, Nova Scotia's had an awesome one for years from their College of Physicians, and it's a decision between the patient and the doctor. Their only stipulations is it can't be done by telemedicine.
Well, we need to. Well, really, then Skype doctors are out.
It can't be done by telemedicine?
Nope, it's got to be a person-to-person interaction in Nova Scotia.
So they couldn't Skype with one of my doctors?
No, legally, no. But they can because they're still going to get a federal license.
Right. Okay, because it's a federal program. All right.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But so the way they have it here is the doctors in Nova Scotia can't Skype patients in Nova Scotia.
Okay, that just sounds so weird.
Because they'd rather have the doctor-patient interaction to prove that it's a legitimate patient.
Which makes sense.
It does. I mean, I don't argue their decision in it. I'm just happy that they have a stance that actually supports medical use.
That is good, but like nobody that talks to one of our doctors does so without a whole pile of backup documents that document exactly what their issues are, how serious they are, how long they've had them. If they don't have that backup material, then they don't get to Skype with their doctor.
How much shit did I send you, Ross?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you don't have some real medical conditions and it's not documented, then you won't even get to Skype at all.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting, by the way, although my friend got hers today. I'm still waiting. I'm now at 20 weeks.
That's crazy. I know. I'm.
And no, I haven't called, Ross.
Shut up, Ross.
I have not called. You're more than welcome to call for me. I'll give you all the information because I know you're like sitting on hold with Health Canada.
Well, why don't you call them?
I don't want to.
Why?
Because I'm patient and I've got my MMAR. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm doing.
Now the truth comes out.
Well, you know why I had made arrangements with somebody to share a warehouse and grow meds with them and maybe help some patients and stuff like that, and that has since fallen through. So I'm kind of doing what everybody else is doing, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and this is because the program's all new again, and a lot of people weren't part of the MMAR, so this is all new to them. And I find that there's a lot of people who come in and they want to Skype with the doctor, and then after they Skype with the doctor, they get their medical document, they send in their application, and then they go, oh, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to grow it?
Yep.
How am I going to grow it? Well, and they haven't. To me, you got to think these things out before you.
And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons.
These are questions that should be answered before you apply.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Exactly. So but I do my best to try to help people. Consider all these things at the time, at least. While they're doing it, I get them to. I ask them the questions. Do you know where you're going to grow it? Do you have a place to do it? Have you got the knowledge to do it? All those things.
Let's take this one step closer to. Let's just also inform people who are listening that in Canada, you do not. Once you get your license, if it is your primary residence, you do not have to tell your landlord that you're growing your medicines on the premises. Correct, Ross?
That is absolutely true.
So therefore.
But under the new legal, whatever they're going to come up with for the
Cannabis Act.
recreational,
Cannabis Act. Yep.
There very likely is going to be something in there regarding landlords for
recreational growing. I think there might be.
But for medical, I don't think that. I mean,
medical doesn't matter. They can't do anything medical.
Yes. So. That little green piece of paper really has become fuck off cop.
It really is, and
it was. We used to call our MMARs the get out of jail free card.
It is, and you wouldn't believe how many people that come into the store or they hear that we have they can see a doctor and get legal, and it's like, oh well, I don't want to get on the radar like that. I don't want to give them my name, and it's like. Yes, you do. You do want to give them your name because if somebody finds out what you're doing and they call Health Canada and they don't have your name, guess what?
Are you saying that there are people that go into a hydroponic store that may or may not be growing cannabis illegally?
It's not like it's a high proportion of them. It's no more than 95%. I guarantee it.
Jesus. Right. Some of the,
I have to tell people when people come in and they say, I'm growing tomatoes. And it's like the first thing you say is, are you really growing tomatoes? Now, come on, really, seriously, you have to tell me because if you're really growing tomatoes, I'm going to talk to you one way. And if you're really growing cannabis, I'm going to talk to you another way. So go ahead, just level with me. Are you really growing tomatoes? And 9 times out of 10, they say, well, no.
I used to love going into the hydroponic shops in BC back in the late 90s. And they all had a tent set up or at least lights set up with tomatoes growing to show how easy it is to grow tomatoes in your basement.
Yep. I did it too. We had a demo room. I grew peppers in there, all different kinds of peppers: hot peppers, green peppers, red peppers, and peppers. Structurally and the way they grow and everything are very much like cannabis in the way they grow.
Oh yeah.
So
I didn't know that.
They were a good demo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Peppers grow great hydroponically. Tomatoes, on the other hand, the thing that people most often claim they're doing are near impossible to produce a tomato indoors under lights. In a greenhouse, but they're really hard to pollinate in a closed grow room. It's hard to actually produce a tomato.
When I'm trying to learn something about growing and stuff like that, I have encyclopedias at my fingertips. Literally. Hey, Ross, Marcel.
I want to do this. Will this work? And the best answer is, yeah, go for it. Try it, and then let me know.
It's part of the learning process.
That's right. Learn by trial and error. Don't repeat the mistakes.
Yeah. I always tell people, look, you can do it yourself. You can watch the YouTube videos and go on all the forums on the internet and have that really steep learning curve, or you can just listen to me for a little while, and I'll flatten that curve out for you, and you do what I tell you, and
you're an
you won't have to go through all those
arrogant ass, Ross. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not. Well, I guess sometimes it might sound like that, but really, it's something that you need to tell people, because if you don't, they listen to those internet, the YouTube videos and the internet chat, and they don't realize that there's people on there who don't have a clue that talk like they do.
I have been doing this in September, 10 years. I've been doing this show. I've had, oh God, I don't even remember how many different people I've done the show with, how many different guests I've had on the show. But I learn from hanging out with whoever I do the show with, and now it's Ross and Marcel, and it used to be Lori and Chris, and Amy Brown was around and stuff like that. So I mean, like it's literally like sitting at my desk. It's like opening up a library. What are we going to talk about now? Who are we going to talk to?
Yeah,
but it's kind of cool. I mean, I love doing this. I mean, cannabis is my favorite thing, and I've been doing nothing but living, eating, breathing, sleeping cannabis for like the last 15 years straight. I mean, obviously I've been using it longer, but I've been literally living it.
Well, let me ask you a question, okay? And I'll ask you both this question, and then you guys can each take a turn answering it. If it wasn't for getting sick, do you think that you would be involved in the cannabis community? Would it be as much a part of your life as it is now?
I can answer that.
Okay,
no. No. And the reason being is I was in BC when the Parker ruling come out. I could have qualified then to go get a card, and I didn't bother because I was already coping without it. And I figured it was just going to be an added expense. When I got really sick, that's when I turned to it. And it definitely worked.
Well, see, I was a pothead from like 19.
But see, I quit.
Yeah, I did too for 10 years.
I quit for 10 years.
Yeah. That seems to be the span.
That's when I got sick.
That seems to be the span, though. I mean, I know a lot of people that say, I quit for about 10 years, or I didn't smoke much for 10 years. And then, I mean, I learned it's from pothead to patient is kind of really a natural progression, because you learn... back in the 60s, we used to smell it all the time.
Yeah.
I got to admit, I did
we're smelling
quit
it all the time
years,
again now.
From when I was born until I was 14. And other than that, I've used it all my life. But yes, I did. I had a lung operation when I was in my 20s, and when they went in there, they severed a nerve. When I came to after the operation, and I got off the ventilator and all the other stuff, and I got into ICU, I thought they had the bandages on too tight, because my whole left side where they had operated it felt weird, and I just thought maybe they had put the bandages on too tight. And it took me a couple of days to realize that I had lost all feeling in my from just above my left nipple, almost all the way down to my waistline, from my breastbone all the way around to my spine. My whole left upper torso was completely without feeling. I had lost all feeling. I started to get that feeling back over time. Like I was 25 years old at that time. So by the time I was 40, I had got about half of that feeling back. So it's still to this day, I'm a large portion of it, I have no feeling. But what the healing process of that nerve healing, the scar tissue put pressure on the nerve, and it caused neuropathic pain. So by the time I was in my 40s, like in the 1990s, I was starting to have neuropathic pain already in my upper torso. When I went into business, as in the hydroponics store 15 years ago, I was already a patient, and I was already using it medicinally, but there was no program. Right? But I was still using it medicinally. And then after having the store, by about 2003, I started to develop neuropathic pain in both of my feet, which was way worse than the neuropathic pain from the lung operation, because it feels like you're on fire. And now it's in fact, my pain just became a teenager. For 13 years, I have been standing in boiling water 24/7, 365 without a break. And that's really my main ailment now. So by 2007, it took me till 2007 before I could actually get to a position where I could convince a doctor and a specialist, because you had to have them both, right? Because pain wasn't one of those magic 5 ailments that you only needed a B1 for. You had to have a B1 and a B2. Remember that?
Well, yeah, but because I had the B1.
Right.
I was one of those magic ailments.
Right, you were. And I don't want to say you were lucky, because obviously you're not lucky to have cancer or MS or, whatever. Arthritis was a B1 too, but chronic pain.
But it was worded as only severe arthritis.
Yeah, severe arthritis. So,
yes,
like Dr. Cameron, everybody that went to see Dr. Cameron had severe arthritis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't. I had chronic pain. So I could get my one doctor to sign, but then I had to find a specialist who would sign for me too. And I managed to do that twice. But it took me till 2007 before I could do it.
Wow. I was a case study when I was a kid for hyperactive kids. And at 16, my doctor said that if I smoked pot, I should stop taking the Ritalin and Dexedrine. And that stuck in my head for...
But why would he say you should
because
stop?
It would do the same thing.
Did he think that it was because cannabis would treat you, or cannabis would interact with those? Or
no,
what was his reasoning?
His exact words from my memory was, "Are you smoking pot?" No, but my friends do. Okay, well, if you stop taking the pills, because it's going to do the same thing.
Okay, so he was being supportive.
Of course he was.
Medicinal value.
Yes, he was. And then I didn't start smoking, though, until, I started partying. 19, beer, pot, may have been a bit before that. But as an adult, though, for the last 20 years now, I've been using it and remembering what my doctor said, and I've been using it to control my ADHD. And rest, I can't control my outbursts, literally. And
Now, see, the problem with that is some of those nice people in government would take that as you're dependent.
That's right.
You're addicted.
That's right.
But what you're actually addicted to is the relief that it provides.
That's right. And that's what I was going to say. I mean, I feel normal. I mean, it all depends on the strain. Obviously, that's the fun thing. It's like wine and beer, or pop, or candy, or fruit. It's like you've got so many different options, right? And like right now, I'm having some sour diesel. I was told that there's dabs on the way, so I don't know what'll be there, but and there's so many different ways. It's like we had a gentleman who I can't remember his name from Colorado who's opening a weedery on the winery model. You remember that, guys?
Yep.
Were you there for that, Ross?
Nope. Ross wasn't.
Oh, Lori was here with us. And it was a really good concept because they're doing it with wineries. They're doing it with grapes. Why can't you do it if it's legal? Why not?
Yeah.
But then, they've got the control wrapped around our testicles. If you do this, you're going to get a little, we're going to pull a little harder. It's kind of ridiculous. It really is.
Oh, because we live in a stupid country with stupid people. And
so
shut up, Marcel.
What are you guys doing? Tomorrow's Canada Day. We should bring up Canada Day, or what I have been told is being called Cannabis Day. Now, I just want to make it clear that I don't really give a crap about Cannabis Day. It's Canada Day, and I'm Canadian, so it's the 150th anniversary in Canada. And being Canadian, I wanted to play one last song. So we're going to take one more quick break. I'm going to play some Killin' Time Band because it's a 3-day weekend and it's the most appropriate song for our situation up here this weekend because it's Canada's 150th birthday. Now, the town that I live in is 175 years old. How old is the town that you live in, Ross?
Oh, geez.
Hey, he's going to go to Google.
It's got to be. It's over 100 years old. I know that because there's buildings around here that are, like there's churches and things like that are 120 years old. So it's got to be up there.
And Ross, you're in Halifax, right? Or
Marcel?
Well, no, I'm outside of Halifax.
Okay.
But Halifax is probably the oldest city in Canada.
It is next to Montreal and Halifax. Yeah, I'd say are the two oldest.
Yeah, it would be Quebec City and Halifax.
Maybe Quebec City would be. Yeah,
and is that just because of the landing points?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
See, the French all landed in Quebec City, and the English all landed in the Halifax area.
Well, Halifax, the town of Halifax was founded by the Kingdom of Great Britain under the direction of the Board of Trade under the command of Governor Edward Cornwallis in 1749.
Somebody opened up a website.
Pardon me?
Somebody opened up a website.
Yeah, it's Wikipedia.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing tomorrow?
I'm cutting clones.
Are you going to be joining us tomorrow?
Depends on how many clones I get cut.
Well, tomorrow we are...
That was my goal, to try and get as many cut in the morning as I could.
Oh, I see. Well, sometime after 12 tomorrow, we are going to be doing a road show. Al Graham's going to be at, is it Tangdanega, right, Ross?
Tangdanega.
Yeah, which is
Tangdanega,
which is a Mohawk reserve here in Canada that borders the U.S., yes?
No,
that one doesn't.
That would be the one up near Cornwall, Akwesasne.
Okay, so it's a reserve here in Canada under, and is it First Nations?
Of course.
If it's a reserve, yes.
Okay. And they're opening up, Legacy 420 has opened up, I think I can't remember, I don't want to say, but there's a little thing that was done, and I'm going to try and, you guys talk, I'm going to try and find the video because we're going to be there.
I will say that Legacy 420 is now the biggest, most modern, largest dispensary out of the 13 that are on the Tangdanega Reserve.
And please explain.
There's 13 dispensaries on that reserve?
Uh-huh.
How big's that reserve?
Huge.
Well, it's pretty big, I mean, as far as geographic area goes, but everybody lives in Marysville, which is just a little town of about 1,400.
So there's one dispensary for every 100 people?
Yes.
Wow.
But people come from all over. People come from Kingston, all the way from Kingston to Oshawa up to Bancroft, and they all come to Tangdanega to get their stuff.
To get their smokes.
Wow.
So now
competition is awesome there, I bet.
Tim,
it's pretty awesome, and you know who's really, really pissed off? All the guys all my customers who are going, I can't sell my shit no more.
Well, I know that Tim Barnhart, who is the owner of Legacy 420, is going to be there. Al's going to be there with him. And we're going to be talking to people who come into the store and with Tim and waiting for the RCMP to show up.
You figure they're going to show up?
I don't know. And what I'm getting at is, can you, Ross, because you live in that area, can you explain why they're not? I mean, they may show up, but can you explain why they can't do anything?
Sure. If you watch the news tonight, you saw Justin Trudeau and his wife Sophie going into a teepee that had been set up at Parliament Hill by some protesters. Trudeau is very sensitive to First Nations issues. And basically, when it comes to the RCMP anyway, they basically, I think, been told through the back door, and I can't prove this, to go hands off with any First Nations reserve where the band council supports that kind of thing, their hands-off policy. So the RCMP will not go on to a First Nations reserve where cannabis is being sold in dispensaries and the band council's okay with it. If the band council says, we're not okay with it anymore, they'll come in and bust them. But right now, in Tyendinaga, the band council is supporting them.
Oh, very supportive.
However, when the Cannabis Act is implemented, there's going to be some severe pressure on the Ontario government, who is totally going to want to control retail distribution of cannabis. Okay, so now it comes down to the Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP. And Tyendinaga used to have its own police force. And their police force answered to the band council. They have just recently switched, and they are now, all those band council or band police are now OPP. Wow. So when it comes down to the regulations coming into effect, and I can tell you right now that in Ontario, there's going to be no mom and pop retail. Okay, that's not going to be allowed. It's going to be done by the government. Whether it's probably going to be CCBO, whether it's and there's an election in June before it's actually legalized. So whether the Conservatives or the Liberals or the NDP gets in power, doesn't matter. It's going to be government-run retail distribution. The Conservatives and the Liberals for money, the NDP for the union. So basically, once that happens, it's now up to the OPP to decide, are they going to do the bidding of the provincial government and end the retail distribution of cannabis in Ontario, regardless of where it is.
But would that not infringe on the rights of
the
Native people?
First Nations
No.
reservation, or they're...
No, it would not, and I'll tell you why. Because right now, like the Criminal Code of Canada applies Canada-wide, even on First Nations reserves.
Right.
Now, they can choose to not enforce certain laws, but if you commit assault or rape or murder or something like that on a First Nations reserve, you are subject to all the laws of Canada.
Right.
And you really are subject to all the laws of Canada and the province, even for cannabis. But if they choose not to enforce it, then that's all it means, is they've chosen not to enforce it. At any time, that could change.
Yeah.
So are there going to continue to be dispensaries in Ontario on First Nations reserves after the Cannabis Act is enacted? I think it's very, very iffy. But, I don't want to be a naysayer or try to scare anybody. But
I already did.
Yeah, I honestly, and I'm not being negative here. I'm just trying to be realistic, and those people should be realistic about it too, because this isn't going to go on forever. That's my prediction. That's my prediction, and it's just based on my trichiny.
Okay, so let's take that one step closer.
I was going to say, go back into the reserve, and you were saying about them enforcing the laws.
All right.
In the interim, there's nothing to stop the OPP to put up road checks on the outside of the reserve, and start busting people for.
Oh, don't give them any fucking ideas, Marcel.
No,
Come on.
Trust me, they've got those ideas already.
Don't worry. They've been doing that for decades with tobacco. Okay, people have been going onto the reserve, and it used to be that there were all these tobacco shops on the reserve where you could go and buy a bag full of cigarettes, right?
Yep.
And not pay tax on it and get it real cheap, and there's no quality control. You have no idea where the tobacco came from or what's gone into it. It was kind of a similar situation, and they used to do that. They used to sit just outside the reserve, and when people would drive across, they'd pull them over, bust them up for contraband cigarettes. And it got to a point where it was just taking up too much of their time. I think they were just spending way too much, putting too much effort, too much time and money into it, and really not getting anything back.
But they have
they'd go to
regulated
court and they'd get a little slap on the wrist, and nothing would happen.
They have regulated
it now. And I think they learned their
though.
lesson with cannabis, right? So they don't do it with cannabis.
They've regulated the smokes now. You do pay duty on them now. They're a little bit more expensive. You can go up to Southampton, just up the road here from me, and you can walk in to any number. There's a guy with a trailer up there that's open 24 hours. You can go up there and get munchies and smokes. Hell, I think they even sell cheeseburgers. There's a Timmy's in town too.
But there's more cannabis dispensaries now on Tyndonega than there are smoke shops.
We're hoping that they're going to come up here because that's Six Nations up there, and I was on Al's show. He had Tim Barnhart on Al's show, and on the break I asked him if they were considering anything up there, and he said, well, he's been all over Ontario talking to chiefs.
Yes, he has. They've got an association, an Indigenous Cannabis Rights Association or something like that.
And the reason I brought it up is because some of those people are going to be there tomorrow, and we're going to be talking with some of them. Or anybody who wants to talk to us, including some of the chiefs, are going to be there. So Al's going to try and rustle up some high-end conversation there down at Legacy 420.
It will be very interesting conversation, I'm sure, and you'll hear a lot of things, but everything you hear is all dependent on the status quo.
Yeah. Like everything else, though. Like
True. But the
yeah.
status quo is going to change. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, and exactly. I mean, we know what's happening with medical. We know that.
Yes.
Okay. We don't know really what's going to happen with recreational, and you won't know it until a few months before it actually happens.
Yeah, we got a pretty good idea in Ontario.
Yeah, but still, you're not going to know the long and short of it until you start seeing fucking commercials. And there's signs up on the highway now. You know, I mean, I've been along the 401 and it says, don't drive high.
Yeah.
You know
what? If Ontario allows mom and pop retail outlets for cannabis, I will go one full day at the store giving everybody a 50% discount.
Okay, but
okay, now we're holding him to
we're
that.
Gonna hold
that.
You to
hold me to it.
But what about the online thing? Nothing's been said about that yet.
Oh, online is different. Okay, that's not a provincial thing. It's first of all, anybody anywhere can order online from, and nobody really knows where it comes from. In fact, a lot of these online dispensaries have probably maybe 15 different places where it's sent from. Yeah. And it's all, with a fictitious return address. So and then they move it around too. Like it'll come up from this province one time, it'll come from that province next time, it'll come from that person in this province, that person, and so they never can. It's like trying to play whack-a-mole, right? They can never find where it's coming from.
Yep. It's like old school hackers. It's like old school hackers.
It's just being smart business.
It is being smart. Yep. Yes. If you want to have a dispensary and you don't want to get busted, do it online. Yep.
And you really don't have to hide.
No, you don't. No. Well, you just have to be very clever.
If you're doing patient-to-patient verified patients, you really don't have anything to worry about.
That only is true for extracts. It doesn't really include dry flower.
Really?
No, yeah.
The way it's written is it never included dried flower.
Right.
It was only derivatives. So concentrates and edibles and topicals and things like that are perfectly legal for patient to patient.
But not flower.
Flour was not included because
not included.
the case never involved flour.
Oh, so is it going to take a charter like that to happen?
Yeah.
I don't think the charter is going to apply to recreational because it's different
Not
than
to
medicinal.
recreational.
It's because we had to choose between our health and our security. It's different for.
It's back to patient transfer, which is legal for derivatives. If somebody was caught sending another patient flour, then they could file the charter challenge, use the Smith ruling as the precedent, and explain it that it wasn't really even an oversight. It's just because it never involved the dried flour.
Right, and that's why in a patient-to-patient exchange of dried flour, they will not convict you or even charge you or take you to court because they don't want to take that risk.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I get you. Because really all it would take is walking into a courtroom and saying blah, 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 blah. And then they'd have to go, oh, okay. Now, with the recreational thing, though, you're going to get a lot of people coming in and asking about scrogging, buddy.
Don't tell me about it. I'm going to have a kit. Well, first of all, I'm going to explain to everybody about how for a $200 permit, they can grow 6 plants. And for another $200 permit, they can grow those 6 plants up to 1.5 meters tall.
Oh,
Did you know that?
Didn't know that part.
Yeah. No. Because if you're between 1 meter and 1.5 meters tall, it's a maximum $200 fine, non-criminal offense. If you have up to 6 plants, you're between 4 and 6. It's again a $200 fine, a non-criminal offense. So if you go to 6 plants and you go to 1.5 meters, the most you're going to risk is a $400 fine.
Wow. Call it a fee.
So I call it a permit.
Yeah, call it a fee. And you know what?
I was in a grow room last night that is a is the mother of scrogs.
Really?
Yeah. I would say at harvest you're probably looking at 5 pounds per plant.
Yeah. Wow. And how long do you have to wait?
Well, it's just veg. You don't make money, so do veg smart.
It takes a long time.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
But anything worth something takes a while.
It does.
Right?
I have my own feelings on scrog. Some people are like scrog nuts. They think it's they think it's the bomb and it's the way to maximize your yield.
The bee's knees.
Basically, if you look at how many grams per day, if you did the math and you said, okay, I yielded this much scrogging over this many days, and I yielded this much not scrogging over a shorter number of days, and then to do the math, divide it out, it comes out to so many grams per day. I think you're going to find that it's very, very close whether you scrog or don't scrog. You're still going to come out with X number of grams per day.
Right. But see, the way this place is set up is there's 4 separate flower rooms. And so it's a harvest every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yes, I can understand that, but still.
Right. And then they have separate veg rooms. Transfer the plants over when it's time to flip them and let them go.
But their crop rotation is probably in the order of 12 to 16 weeks. Right?
Yes.
Instead of 7 to 8 weeks.
Right.
Right. So again, you do the math, and it doesn't. To me, if there is a slight increase in your yield, it's not worth all that trouble to me. Just my thought. That's just me.
Now, see, I like bigger plants.
I do too. Well, not too big. I like them branchy.
I like them branchy, and I like them big, but I have an 8 foot.
Big is not necessarily tall. Big
right. I have an 8 foot limitation, so I can go 8 feet high.
Yep.
Right. I can go higher than 8 feet. I just don't like them up over the fence.
Oh, you're talking outdoors.
Outdoors.
Oh, geez, I should have dropped you the picture of my plants that I have right now. I got one right now that's 5 feet tall and 5 feet in diameter.
Nice.
Already.
Awesome.
It's a monster. It is truly a monster.
I got nothing.
That's what I like.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Zip it. Nothing. Nada.
Yet.
Yeah, one day maybe.
We'll get you going.
One day.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's wrap it up, gentlemen.
Yeah. We should.
Yeah, don't get me talking again. I'll just yap.
We're going to play 3-day weekend, and then we're going to get out of here. And as you heard, we're going to have Dr. Bob on sometime soon. And tomorrow we'll be around with Al Graham and whoever else shows up. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
You're not going to say it?
Peace, love, and hippie shit.
Thank you.
Somebody's got to say it.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Man, have you been to Canadays yet? Canadays, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Canadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Canadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education? Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Canadays. Have your say without saying a word. Canadays.ca.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
It's Friday night, now I'm off to meet the boys. We're making our way up to the great Canadian North. Ah, those girls are fine, the party is great. music you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiba grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.